This news program is proudly brought to you by
Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits
and Now Biscuits.
Verdict on 12 allegations against Brian Cremer. Former Maprik MP calls on the government to fast-track downstream processing. And Western Province suitable for special economic zone. A very good evening. You're watching National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. The verdict for Brian Cremer's leadership tribunal was with 12 allegations against him. A unanimous decision was handed over by the tribunal today. The matter has been adjourned to the 20th of March 2023 for submissions on penalty on this bridging that he is found guilty on.
The Leadership Tribunal for the suspended Member of Parliament, Brian Cremer, was heard today, with a total number of 12 allegations that was put to verdict.
The 12, there were, how many in total? So allegations 1 or 2 of scandalizing the judiciary, the court, tribunal made a finding of guilt. Allegation 3, it was not guilty in relation to the allegation by Mr. Paul Nee that he was terminated through interference. Allegation 4, publishing the complaint letter by the Chief Justice. That allegation was dismissed for allegedly scandalizing the judiciary. Allegation 5 and 6 of the engagement of Vitolo Enterprise by the board of the DDA. The tribunal made a finding of guilty.
With a total number of 12 allegations that was put to verdict, Cremer explained that the law has taken its course today and they will return on the 20th of March 2023 for trial.
Basically their views, and in my view, is the issue of interpretation of what the law. So then the issue of whether I still maintain that most of these allegations relate to administrative issues, but then again, the tribunal will come and deal with the issue of penalty, and penalty deals with culpability.
Cremer gave his statement.
12 allegations referred by the Ombudsman Commission. I've taken note of the judgment. I'm not too bothered. I've taken note of their interpretation of the law. And so the only issue now to deal with is penalty. There was no evidence or any judgment of saying any dishonesty or misappropriation with the element of dishonesty. So these I've maintained the position, administrative issues provided by the law. The tribunal has expressed its own interpretation of what that law means. So it's an issue now coming back for the penalty, which will make submissions and they take note of the penalties in relation to their finding of guilt.
Grace Papiali, National EMTV News.
The Electoral Commissioner Simon Sinai has announced tentative dates for by-election in 3 vacant seats. This will be conducted in the second quarter of this year. The 3 vacant seats include North Bougainville seat, Wewak open seat and Ligap open seat.
According to Electoral Commissioner Simon Sinai, the North Bougainville election was declared failed after the incumbent MP, late William Nakin, passed on after polling was completed. For Wewak, the incumbent member, late Kevin Isifu, also passed on after retaining his seat in the 10th Parliament. For the Lagaip open seat in the Enga province, elections there were declared failed following widespread disruptions during polling. Sinai explained that the Commission intends to conduct these by-elections commencing April and have the writs returned by early July. The proposed tentative dates for the by-election are issue of writs on Thursday, 27th April 2023, close of nomination Wednesday, 3rd May 2023, start of polling Saturday, 3rd June 2023, end of polling Friday, 16th June 2023, and return of writs will be on Friday, the 7th of July 2023. Cost for the by-election was factored in the recent 2022 election budget. From the 462 million kina budget for 2022 elections, 100 million kina was earmarked for election petition costs, while 50 million kina was anticipated for by-elections. The Electoral Commissioner, Simon Sinai, explained that the cost of running the Lagai by-election stands at 5,792 kina, 807 kina. North Bougainville by-election cost at 2,652,660 kina, and Wewak open by-election at 5,614,075 kina. The total by-election cost for all three electorates is just under the estimated cost. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
Western Province has the potential to produce different agricultural products for self-sustainability. Minister for International Trade and Investment Richard Maru revealed this during his visit to Tabubil and Kiunga in North Fly District yesterday.
Minister Richard Maru and the delegation arrived in Kiunga for a week-long tour within the province. He said the province is capable of getting involved in economic activities, and leaders of Fly River Provincial Government and the 4 districts have been encouraged to contribute meaningfully in terms of financial support and resources to promote trade and investment in Western Province. Western Governor Taboy Awi-Yoto and Vice Minister for Mining and Border Development James Donald, who is also member for North Fly District, along with provincial leaders, welcomed the delegates to the province. Minister for International Trade and Investment Richard Maru told the people of Western Province not to rely on Oktedi mining for benefits, but must cultivate their lands for economic activities. He says non-renewable resources like gold and copper, among others, will be gone once used up, but tapping into different agricultural activities are good for the benefit of the people and is a way forward for change within the province.
The biggest land mass in this country is found in this province. You have fertile land, you have grassland, you have rivers, you have potential for many, many industries. Tourism, agriculture industries like oil palm, rice, and pull up. If we don't start these industries, the mining pass and we will finish now.
Whilst work is in progress to identify potential areas for economic zone, vital infrastructures are needed on those special economic zones to help support the economic growth in the province.
Starting work, you will need him road, you will need him power line, you will need him law and order services, you will need him wharf. Now what I'm going to have, the Western Province must get its own project. It must start now. Which one by me? Start past time, Lord. What do you mean?
All leaders and people of Western Province have acknowledged the delegation and the minister's visit to their province for better change in the future. Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. Following her defeat of the election petition by petitioner and former Central Governor Robert Agarobe yesterday, Rufina Peter, in a press conference, has stated that it's now time to get down to business as duly elected governor. Governor Peter highlighted a few areas she intends to work on as priority, which includes infrastructure, hygiene and sanitation, transit accommodation, and city and central boundaries.
Don't ask me hard questions.
The media caught up with the Central Governor, Rufina Peter, at her temporary office at Waigani today. She was in a cheerful mood following her election petition victory yesterday. Governor Peter described her victory as a relief and highlighted several priority areas she intends to work on.
Express my sincere joy for the election victory yesterday, where the decision handed down by Justice Cannons was in my favor. Yesterday was the day of victory for the people of Central Province.
The other priority areas the Governor highlighted that she will work on are as follows: Roads and bridges, Hiritano and Magi Highway, water for coastline villages, transit accommodation for central villages, travelling to Palm to sell goods, central NCD boundaries, reviving Elimo Farm, infrastructure development for Central Province aid posts and health centres, and agribusiness, working on state land and customary. Governor Peter was gracious in victory and thanked their former counterpart Robert Agorobe and his supporters for a peaceful election outcome.
Most of the people in Central Province are talking about roads and bridges. And so we need to, that's the first thing that needs to happen, to make sure that the roads and bridges are maintained. On the Hiritano Highway, we have some major bridges like at Vemauri and further up at Kubuna Bridge, on the Mona Highway. All of those bridges up to Tapini are gone, and I'm sure on the Magi Highway, similar things are happening.
The central governor also gave an update on her provincial office and when she would move in.
It's 95% done. We just have to move the furniture in and put the water tank up for pumping the water upstairs to the office, and we're done. So you'll all be invited for that as well.
For now, Governor Peter intends to knuckle down and deliver some needed projects in her capacity as governor, and first and foremost, she will work with the national government to ease the cries for the central people when it comes to roads and bridges. Rocky Iso, National MTV News.
It is of relief news to scientific research community the safe release of the remaining researchers in Southern Highlands Province, as alluded to by the acting chairman and CEO of PNG Science and Technology Council Secretariat, Dr. Kulala Mulong.
On behalf of Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Don Pollier, PNG Science and Technology Council Secretariat CEO Dr. Kulala Mulong greatly sympathized with the researchers and their families who endured such anxiety in the past 2 weeks. Following the announcement made by the Prime Minister James Marape yesterday, the issue has been taken care of.
We don't want it to be a precedent into the future. The country must know there is no place for ransom.
Chairman of the PNG Science and Technology Council Secretariat, Dr. Kulala, noted that the incident was an unfortunate case. He alluded that it was a reminder to the research practitioners, research institutions and agents commissioning such studies to be vigilant. With the great contribution to advanced global knowledge, scientific research work undertaken by foreign scientists and researchers has proven that over the years. Grace Papiali, National MTV News.
The University of Technology in Lae and the University of PNG School of Medicine and Health Sciences are the first 2 universities in the country to co-create policies to make education more inclusive for women and girls in the country. The PNG Australia Partnerships Incentive Fund worked with Unitec and the UPNG SMHS to develop the new gender equality, disability and social inclusion policies, which will embed equity, access and inclusion in all structures, policies and practices to support the welfare of staff and students.
The policies were developed during a workshop held recently by the Incentive Fund, which 43 pupils from both institutions attended, including lecturers, staff, and student representatives. Daryl Likius from Unitec's project office said the workshop has helped him to understand the importance of GETSI in his work in the infrastructure department. He said disability inclusion has never been part of their planning and implementation. GETSI inclusion is an area that they have not considered throughout their operations, although the university's strategic plan talks about inclusion. The Incentive Fund will continue to hold GETSI training workshop with other partner organizations to support them develop and formalize relevant policies that are inclusive to ensure women and girls and people with disability are able to access education and development opportunities equally. Both Unitech and UPNG have received incentive fund grants to construct accommodation for female students, increasing access to tertiary education for women across PNG. Unitech has received 15 million kina to build a 100-bed dormitory for female students, while UPNG School of Medicine and Health Sciences has been granted 8.7 million kina to construct 40-bed dormitory. Both projects should be completed within this year. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
Former Agriculture and Livestock Minister John Simon is calling on the government to fast-track downstream processing in coffee by opening up coffee factories in overseas countries. The former politician is passionate about the agriculture industry, especially coffee, and has opened a coffee shop business in Port Moresby's Skyview estate.
This is JS Coffee Shop, located at Skyview at 8 Mile in Port Moresby. There are two things that separate this coffee shop from the others. The first and obvious reason is that it's owned by former MP for Marprick and Agriculture and Livestock Minister John Simon. The second reason is that this coffee shop supports local smallholder plot owners in East Sepik.
So when I became the minister, I went back and I asked my told them, well, why don't you grow coffee again? They said, we can't grow coffee to sell for 2 kina. The cost of living has gone up. And the cost of doing farming in this country is very expensive. I did a cost analysis on it. And I came to realize coffee, selling it for less than 4 kina or 5 kina is not a good business. A kilo. Less than 4 kina, less than 5 kina kilo is not a good business. People should just forget coffee and go and do something else. Why should they do coffee?
John Simon is no stranger to coffee. In fact, his passion for the local brew of coffee started at a very tender age, having grown up to parents that both worked hard in cultivating coffee. Sadly, though, on a domestic front, our local coffee farmers are cutting down their coffee trees and growing other cash crops because price has always been an issue with coffee. The former MP outlined that anything at 4 kina and below is a loss for small coffee holders, and Mr. Simon has taken it upon himself to buy coffee at a rate of 5 kina to farmers in East Sepik, despite the loss incurred on his business.
Sepik is starting to clean the coffee. They said 5 kina, oh, we've never had 5 kina. Everyone's getting excited. So they're starting to do coffee. And then I lost the election. Price dropped again. I sat around, I thought about it, I said, all right, I'll take that risk. Parliament paid me some 10 years of being as a member. I used all that money to buy coffee. And I paid 5 kina on it. After I paid 5 kina, I came to realize that, I have to ship the coffee container to Leh because of the export and all this and coordination. My FOB landed in Leh was about 7 kina.
In light of this, Mr. Simon is calling on the government to consider a shortcut to downstream processing and open up coffee factories overseas so our raw commodities get sent there. Along with a coffee shop, this would generate the much-needed revenue.
We do now talk about SME overseas, not SME in Papua New Guinea, because the market in Papua New Guinea is small. We don't have a bigger market. We have a smaller market. We have a smaller economy. You go to a market that is big, then you do SME there because the market is open up. I think we should do that. You do it here, the cost of shipping, the cost of everything is expensive. So by the time our product gets to the market, it's still already expensive. So take our raw material overseas and process it there. Because the shipping, the cost of everything is cheaper there. I can do that. I want to do that. That's my dream.
Regardless of whether he remains in politics or not, the former politician has seen the value in coffee and will ensure to see that the coffee prices that he purchases the coffee from, the local growers, will remain at 5 kina. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.2840 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.2765 US, $0.4073 Australian dollars, $0.2533 euro, 37.24 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading lower, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed higher, copra closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, and copper closed lower. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National MTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Air Niugini Chief Executive Officer Bruce Alabaster is no longer CEO for Air Niugini, as this was announced today by Chairman of Air Niugini, Sir Costas Constantino. The board has confirmed the appointment of Gary Seddon, as acting Chief Executive Officer. A selection process of comprehensive national and international selection process will undergo using independent recruitment specialists as determined by the enabling legislation.
Bruce Alabaster has been working for the airline company for more than a decade. The board of Air Niugini stated that he was instrumental, especially through the challenges associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. With the confirmed appointment of Gary Seddon as acting CEO, a more formal engagement will be finalized. Seddon is no stranger to the company, as he has held executive positions during his career with Air Niugini Limited Board. Meanwhile, it remains a key priority for Air Niugini Limited to focus on the objectives of their corporate plan and to ensure the provision of safe, accessible and affordable air transport services to Papua New Guineans. Grace Papiali, National MTV News.
Western Highlands Provincial Government has presented its Provincial Service Improvement Program and Provincial Support Grants for the year 2022. Governor for Western Highlands Province, Wairapa, made the submission presentation to the Department of Implementation and Rural Secretary this morning in Port Moresby.
Present at the occasion was the Governor for Western Highlands Province, Wairapa, Deputy Governor Michael Mai, Provincial Administrator Joseph Mangbil, Lord Mayor Jacob Michael, Provincial Finance Manager Timothy Rapula, and the Secretary for Department of Implementation and Rural Development, Ahi Waki. Deputy Governor Michael Mai says Governor Rapa actually took the office 5 to 6 months ago, and this is his first time to present the acquittals. Michael Mai clarified that 8 million kina was given for provincial services improvement from January to December 2022, in which 2 million kina was rolled over to this year. He said they have spent a total of 1 million kina for provincial support grants.
The governor took office, he was declared on August, and he took office in September last year. He was there for only 2 or 3 months. But then those were only transition period. We didn't do any major developments, no major policies were carried out. But because it is a requirement by the department, and when we don't provide the acquittals as you require.
Governor Rapa says he has a lot of plans and dreams for his province, and his priorities are on education, law and order issues, agriculture, public transport system, health, infrastructure, youths, and many more. He says his leadership starts from community level, and he knows what his people need in the province. However, it depends on how much money will be spent to carry out these plans and dreams.
You know, we are putting a lot of efforts into law and order. Migrating of people is becoming a big problem in Agen. So schools and education, and then we are looking at our agriculture sector, because I, as councillor, I live with the people in the community, and our people's source of day-to-day life is on, small sales in markets and, the SME sectors, and all these are very important. I am a bottom-up leader.
The provincial administrator added that they are focusing on law and order issues in the province, and more money is put into that area.
51 million, but we've transferred 3 million to the city authority. So now, 10 million to the, beg your pardon, 10 million to the city authority. We are left with 41 million JST. So we're planning to increase, maintain law and order, and then we bring investors in, and then we will increase our JST to at least to 60 or 70 million per year. So that's what we're doing.
Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
And moving to overseas news now, Israel deploys extra troops in West Bank amid rising tensions with Palestine.
A Palestinian town torched, the wrecked aftermath of a rampage by Israeli settlers. Hundreds poured in, looking for revenge after 2 of their own were shot dead. Wow. O'Day shows me the charred remains of his lounge. Completely gone. He rushed back from work, trying to protect his family.
The worst thing is what the kids experienced, the terror and panic they felt. Afterwards, they were trembling in fear and sheltering in my lap, begging me to stay beside them.
Palestinians accused the Israeli army of failing to protect them.
People here are still trying to work out how to sort out all this damage. And what you get a sense of here is how long this attack lasted. Look at the number of torched cars, the burned out building here, buildings like this stretching way up this street.
It was one of the worst mass settler attacks in years, setting the West Bank ablaze. A Palestinian man was shot dead and dozens injured. It began after settlers pledged to take revenge for the killing earlier of 2 Jewish settlers, brothers shot dead by a Palestinian gunman in the town. Today, Israel's far-right police minister toured a settlement outpost. Rights groups draw a link between the ultra-nationalists now in government and growing settler attacks. He told people not to take the law into their own hands, but called for the force of the state.
The enemy must be crushed. The heads of the instigators and the heads of the terrorist organizations must be taken down by targeted eliminations.
Israelis mourned the 2 killed in Hawara before news emerged of another shooting in the West Bank today, killing a 27-year-old US citizen. The Israeli army defended its handling of last night's violence as international calls for calm grow. But the West Bank is burning, and this feels like a moment of growing danger.
At least 63 migrants died after a migrant boat sank off the coast of Italy.
At least 14 children are among the dead. The wooden boat smashed onto rocks while trying to land on the Calabrian coast in heavy seas. The migrants are believed to have come from Afghanistan, Iran, Somalia, Syria and Pakistan. At least 80 people survived. They say the boat was carrying about 170 people when it set off from Turkey last week.
Britain has struck a new deal with European Union over North Ireland trade.
In 2020, Britain gave Europe the ultimate cold shoulder. 3 years on, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's rolled out the red carpet for the European Commission President, including an audience with the King.
The United Kingdom and European Union may have had our differences in the past, but we are allies, trading partners and friends. This is the beginning of a new chapter in our relationship.
When Northern Ireland left the EU following Brexit, trade with the Republic of Ireland became complicated. To avoid the need for a hard border with the Republic, Northern Ireland had to follow some EU laws, even though it was no longer a member of the bloc. That meant British suppliers were subject to customs checks when they tried to send goods to their own country. Under this new deal, goods destined for Northern Ireland will be able to move freely, provided they don't end up on European shelves.
For this to work, we have agreed on strong safeguards that will protect the integrity of the European Union's single market.
President of Turkey acknowledges shortcomings of response earlier this month.
Public criticism of Recep Tayyip Erdogan has been growing since the disaster, which killed more than 50,000 people in Turkey and Syria and left more than 1.5 million homeless. Thousands are still without basic needs, such as shelter and sanitation. The growing anti-government sentiment is posing a threat to Erdogan's grip on power months before national elections. On a visit to the city of Adıyaman, Mr. Erdogan acknowledged some shortcomings in the disaster response.
Because of the devastating effect of the tremors, heavy weather conditions and damaged infrastructure, unfortunately we could not manage to work as efficiently as we wanted to in Adıyaman. I'm asking your blessings for this.
National MTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Following 2 weekends of intense battle in the Top 16 Challenge, the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup is now set to commence its semi-final and grand final matches this weekend at the Leh Rugby League Oval in Morobe Province.
The Western End Challenge observed its fair share of the top 16 teams compete at the Kimil Rugby League Oval in Jiwaka Province. Last weekend witnessed the Eastern End Challenge playoff at the Leh Rugby League Oval. After finalizing and finishing off the finals playoff for both the Eastern and the Western Ends, the Coca-Cola Ipatas Cup 2021-2022 top 4 teams that will vie in the semi and grand final playoffs are as follows: 14B Pirates, Homeland Saints, Prune Panthers and Morobe Pride. The first 2 teams will compete in Game 1 of the semi-finals, followed by the next 2 teams in Game 2 on Saturday, the 4th of March 2023. On Sunday, the 5th of March 2023, the loser from Games 1 and 2 will face off in Game 1 prior to the grand final battle. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Papua New Guinea Football Association will be holding a one-day round-robin under-15 playoff this Sunday. The event will take place simultaneously in Port Moresby and Leh Morobe Province. This is a lead-up playoff to the under-15 boys qualifying championships that will be staged later this year in Fiji. The announcement was made by PNG Football Association competition manager Amjad Tekwi yesterday prior to his departure to Leh today for the setup of the playoff.
All schools and the member associations that are affiliated to PNG FA in Port Moresby and Leh will be given invitation to partake in this one-day round-robin under-15 playoff. PNG FA competition manager Amjad Tekwi says this tournament will see 8 teams competing simultaneously under 4 pools at these 2 designated zones come Sunday, the 5th of March 2023.
Simultaneously, both here in NCD and up in Leh, we will be holding a one-day round-robin format where we will invite all the schools and the member associations to put forward a team.
After these playoffs, a final train-on squad of 40 will be selected out to train and prepare for the upcoming Under-15 Championships this year in Fiji.
Of under-15 boys that we will use to do a selection for the train-on squad to represent PNG in the under-15 boys playoffs this year in April.
Further announcements as to where the under-15 train-on squad will be camping and the timing as to when they will commence their training will be made by PNG FA in the coming weeks. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Moving to overseas sports now, Melbourne Storm's coach Craig Bellamy has said that the club might have to look for a new coach, as this could be his final year as head coach.
Part of his contract stipulates that each year he can decide if he wants to stick around or move into a part-time role with the club. This is his 21st year in charge, and in that time the Maestro has led the Storm to 9 grand finals, with the club generally regarded as one of the most respected in the league.
Australian bowler Mitchell Starc will have to overcome an injury scar in order to captain the Australian cricket team ahead of their upcoming Test match.
His injured finger is still not fully healed from that severe tendon injury that has kept him out of the tour so far. The left armer's left middle finger was in a splint for 6 weeks after he injured it in a freak fielding mishap during the Boxing Day test against South Africa. Starc has said the ball is coming out quite nicely and he feels like he's at pretty much full tilt. The Australian side lost the first 2 tests in the series.
Nick Kyrgios has pulled out of the upcoming Miami Open to recover from an ongoing knee injury.
Kyrgios hasn't played an official match since last October. He withdrew from last month's Australian Open on the eve of the tournament after he played Novak Djokovic in a pre-tournament exhibition.
In AFL, a Richmond Coast star player has announced his retirement at the age of 26.
Stanier told his Tigers teammates that he no longer had the desire to play and compete at the highest level. He retires having played 134 games for the Tigers, including 3 flags. He was originally taken as a rookie with pick 29 in the 2014 rookie draft. The club announced earlier on in this month that Castagna would miss the start of the season due to a hamstring injury.
And that ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Port Moresby, cloudy periods with rain showers and possible thunderstorm. Daru, Kerema, Alatau and Popondetta, partly cloudy with occasional showers. In the Momase region, Ley City, mostly cloudy. Medang, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorm. Wewak and Vanimo, partly cloudy with few showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau, partly cloudy with few showers. KVN, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka, cloudy with frequent showers and possible thunderstorm. In the Highlands region, all centres becoming cloudy with few showers. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border to Daru to Kiwai Islands, to Kerema to Yule Island, to Port Moresby seas 1.5 to 2 meters. Waters east of Port Moresby to Hood Point, to Samarai Island, to eastern Milne Bay Islands, including Alatau to East Cape, to Norman Bay and Woodluck Islands seas 3 to 4 meters. Waters of Cape Vogel to western Milne Bay Islands, to Ewan Gulf, to Finschhafen, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Finschhafen through VTS Dampier Straits to CSC, Long Island, Karkar Island, Manam Islands, seas 2.5 to 3.5 meters. Waters of Medang to Wewak to Vanimo and northern PNG Indonesian border, seas 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas 1.5 to 2 meters. Waters of East and West New Britain to New Ireland and Bougainville, seas 2 to 3 meters. Ocean forecast: Coral Sea sees moderate west to northwest winds of 15 to 20 knots. Solomon Sea sees rough northwest winds of 20 to 34 knots. Prismax Sea sees rather rough to northwest winds of 20 to 33 knots. And Pacific Ocean sees moderate to rough north to northwest winds of 15 to 30 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Tuesday, the 28th of February 2023. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.